Hi, and welcome. You're listening to the X22 Report. My name is Dave, and this is episode 1529B, and today's date is March 26, 2018, and the title of the episode is Clock Activated, Stage Set, Wait for the Boom, Boom, Boom. Let's get into the economic collapse, political, and geopolitical news. Now, back a couple of weeks, Q came out, and Q said something that was very interesting. This was back in March 4th. It was post 839. Do you trust the mainstream media? Do you trust Facebook, Google, YouTube, Twitter? And Q talked about regulation, about how the social media giants were intertwined with the intelligence agency, how they were storing your private information without your permission. And then the story broke about Cambridge Analytica, which really the Trump campaign really didn't use that much. Compared to what other elected officials were using. And the story then shifted to what Facebook has been doing all along. And Q also said that they're going to be regulated. And this was way before any of this all came out, that anyone even thought this was going to happen. And we come to find that, yes, Facebook has been storing logs of phone calls, text messages for years. They've maintained a comprehensive record of phone calls and text messages on Android devices. Last week, New Zealander Dylan McKay requested his data from Facebook. Upon unzipping the downloaded file, McKay discovered that Facebook had stored around 2 years' worth of metadata from phone calls he had made or received. Others have reported similar data log from their devices. And basically, they also upload and they keep your contacts. This was used very often. Now, what is happening right now is everyone is looking at this and saying, whoa, wait a minute. You've been keeping our personal information without our permission? Well, now, just like Q predicted, the FTC is officially investigating Facebook for the Cambridge Analytica data scandal. Now, the Federal Trade Commission announced on Monday that it has opened an investigation into Facebook and whether it violated its stated privacy policy. Now, we see at this point that this was done on purpose. Nothing is a coincidence. And this is now going to spread to the other social media giants. Then you're going to hear calls for regulations on these social media giants. And this is just the beginning. So we see at this point that everything is coming true. This is like a boom, and it's all starting to happen. Now, as we can see, McMaster's was let go. Now, he was a neocon, wanted war with North Korea. He was talking about plans going in, starting a war, and eventually we are now seeing peace in North Korea. We're scheduled for peace talks, and Q has been telling us that, yes, we are headed in this direction. We even reported on this before even Q mentioned this, that behind the scenes, there were peace talks going on. Now, let's just keep that in mind for a second, that McMaster's was let go. We're not headed to war with North Korea. Yes, on April 1st, supposedly the Pentagon has announced that they're going to resume drills in South Korea. Now, remember, this is April 1st. This is April Fool's Day. Was this put into place to fool the media? Or was this to show everyone around the world that North Korea wasn't going to fire a missile, was not going to test a nuclear weapon? And you can see that all of this has calmed down completely. So instead of McMaster's, we now have John Bolton. John Bolton is a neocon. He wants war. He is just as bad as McMaster's. No doubt about it. And we have to think about this. Why would Trump put in John Bolton? Now, of course, everyone is out there talking about because he's setting his cabinet up to go to war. Well, that seems a little ridiculous, because if we were going to go to war, why don't we just go to war with, North Korea? Right? Why would we have peace there? Why don't we just keep McMaster's? Why didn't we just go to war? They had a plan. Because that's not the plan. The plan is to bring these individuals up, put them in a position to observe and watch how they operate, who they are in contact with, who they are taking orders from. Now, remember, Bolton, he has been pushing for a regime change in Iran. Now, let's think about this for a second. Q came out and said North Korea peace talks already happened, and now it's just a show for the corporate media and the rest of the world. Next stop is Iran. Got rid of McMaster's, who wanted to go into North Korea, start a war. John Bolton has been calling for regime change in Iran. So let's take out McMaster's, bring in Bolton. Now, phase 2, let's have peace and calm the situation down in Iran. Let's look at the deal that was made with Obama. Let's bring out the truth of why this deal was made, where this money came from, and what were the true intentions of pushing this deal. Everything of what we've been told is not really what it is. The idea of, let's have this deal with Iran was not to allow Iran to have their nuclear power, to allow them to live peacefully. It was put into place to make sure they never got a nuclear weapon. It was put into place so they can be invaded later on. And basically, what we're looking at right now is taking this whole thing apart to see what really was done there. And we can see right now, Bolton would be the best pick because he is a warmonger. He wants regime change in Iran. Actually, he was on video saying that we're going to have regime change in Iran in 2019. So why would Trump now start a war with Iran and have peace with North Korea? It doesn't make sense. That's why it's not going to happen. Most likely, it's the opposite of what's going to happen. Remember, keep your friends close, but your enemies closer. How do you learn how the deep state, the neocons work? How do you learn on how they operate, who they're in contact with, and what they are up to? Well, you monitor them. You listen to what they're doing. You understand how they work. And then you get rid of them. And you get rid of their whole entire apparatus below and above them. That's how this works. This is the strategy you use to get all these individuals. Just by removing this layer is meaningless. You gotta go a lot deeper. You gotta go to the source. Always go to the source. Just don't think of this. These are spokespeople. These aren't the people calling the shots. These are the mouthpieces of those people who hide in the shadows. Remember that. And once you find out who these individuals are and you rout them out, you can get rid of the puppets and you push them aside and you get rid of them. And that's what Trump has been doing. And he's going to continue to do this. This has not ended by any means. This is going to continue on because the deep state, again, is deep. And you need to go to the source, and the source is the central bank. The source is those people who are not elected, those people who stay in the shadows, those people who you don't see. We see right now it is heating up over this Skripal poisoning, where, of course, the British authorities will not hand over anything to Russia because they don't have anything. Because what was done there was done by the deep state, maybe in the U.S. and the British deep state combined, the intelligence agencies, where they used some form of poison to try to poison these individuals. But we can see right now, the U.S. and other countries, they're all out there saying, oh yes, it was definitely Russia, and the U.S. has ordered the expulsion of about 60 Russian diplomats and the closure of the Russian consulate in Seattle. And the U.S. wants other countries to join in on this. So other countries, 15 EU member states, Canada, Ukraine, also announced the expulsion of Russian diplomats, Poland, Lithuania. What does this actually do? This exposes all the countries that are still pushing the agenda against Russia. It brings them out into the open. Now, those countries who are not going to go through with this, those countries, well, they're thinking in a different way. But we can see there are many countries out there that are still controlled by the deep state. And to find out who they are, all you need to do is set them up. Actually, the Ukrainian regime used the Skripal case to further decrease the diplomatic relations with Russia. Ukraine is full of deep state operatives. So this whole thing is a test of who is still with the deep state, who is not. Call them out on it, and let's see how they approach the situation. Now, China, they're not out there saying, yes, we're getting rid of all Russian diplomats. They're out there saying, we would like to see some proof here first. We would like to see some evidence. And it is important to note that 12 of the 60 diplomats expelled from the U.S. formed part of the Russian mission to the United Nations. This move is in contrary to the basic norms of the international law. And there are other countries out there and other media outlets saying, well, wait a minute, hold on here. We haven't seen any facts yet surrounding the Skripal case. We haven't seen any evidence, any proof, and maybe we need some evidence to support all of this. And you can see that this is the push to get everyone to question this. Now, Russia is saying that they're opening up their own investigation into this case. And Russian experts, chemical weapons experts, say that the American database of chemical weapons has been tampered to remove reference to A234. Now, this is coming from the Russian Defense Ministry, states that the nerve agent A234, which it says was used against former double agent Sergei Skripal, was developed in the U.S. Now, A234 is a nerve agent closely associated with Novichok, which was developed by the Soviet Union in 1970. And it's been widely reported that the Western chemical weapons expert had created an alternative version that is easily identifiable from the original Soviet design. That's very interesting. Maybe this is the reason they don't want to hand over any samples, because they'd be able to identify it very easily, quickly, to show that, no, it didn't come from Russia. Now, the British government will not hand over any of this. Now, under international law, they are supposed to hand over all this evidence. So, the Russian Defense Ministry started to look at the database. And they're saying that in this database, they have everything categorized. And the U.S. already had a version A234 on file in 1998. And now that they look in there, that version disappeared from the National Bureau of Standards database. The exact opposite of what the Russian experts said should normally happen, where that information should still be there. You keep adding to the database, you don't remove information. But for some reason, this information does not exist any longer in the database. Something was tampered with. So we can see already they're getting caught up in all of this. Now, out in Afghanistan, we see Iran. They are proposing investment in Afghan iron ore. They want to work with Afghanistan, which they've been working already, and they're saying that they would like to bring the ore over to Iran to basically to process it. But Afghanistan is saying, no, we want all processing done here in Afghanistan, and they're trying to work out a deal. Now, the United States Geological Survey study has estimated that Afghanistan deposits are worth over $1 trillion. And what do they have? Well, they have gold, they have silver, they have platinum, they have iron, and they are being hailed as the Saudi Arabia of lithium. And lithium is used to make batteries for your phones, electric cars, and everything else. So we see right now they have a lot of natural resources, and we already know that China's already in there, Russia's already making deals, and at this point, we understand why the deep state was in Afghanistan, to basically control this area. It's a strategic location. They have the poppy fields. They can run their missions out of this area, but it's all being scrapped right now. The Islamic State is being beaten and hunted down in Afghanistan. The poppy fields are closing down. They're going after those individuals that have been controlling the fields, and everything is being basically removed and shut down in this area, just like it was in Syria, just like it was in Iraq. And pretty soon you're going to see that there's no reason to have soldiers in Afghanistan. Now, Kim Jong-un, it's being reported that he's making this unexpected trip to Beijing. He's taking this armored train, and they have a picture of it, and I don't believe he's on this train because that would be absolutely ridiculous, because that would give the deep state the ability to maybe hit it with some type of missile or have the tracks blow up. I think this is a diversion, and people think that he is on this armored train, and most likely he's using a different way to get to China for this meeting. And I think this is all part of the peace talks, and we already know that they had peace negotiations in Finland, and things went really, really well. And we can see that we're getting closer and closer to this point. Now, Q has made some very interesting posts, and we can see right now Q has said that the clock is activated. Red castle, green castle, meaning that the wall is a no-go, the wall is a go. And Q also said clock activated, stage 5x5, yes. Now, what it looks like to me is that the stage is set, the clock is activated for the Hillary Clinton video to be dropped, and everything is going to be put into motion, I'm thinking very, very soon. And if Q lives up to what this individual or the group of people or Trump have been telling us, we're going to see more news come out very, very soon. And most likely in the next couple of weeks, when we'll have to wait for more posts. But we can see right now everything that we've been looking at is being set up on purpose. Yes, everyone would love to have everything done tomorrow, but it doesn't work like that. You need to set up everything, like all the executive orders, which we mentioned already. You need to set up everything where you can try these people. You need to set up the prisons where you can hold these people. You need to set up and you need to shut down the social media giants. You need to regulate them and control them. Remember, there are many moving parts to all of this. It's not just one thing. It's not just cleaning the individuals out of government, because they're just the mouthpieces. That's not the people. Yes, on the surface, they're bad people. On the surface, if you get rid of them, guess what? They'll just get people to replace them. It goes much deeper than that. You need to cut it off at the source. It's almost like the Islamic State. When everyone was like, oh, we're going after the Islamic State. Yeah, and if you bomb them in this village and you bomb that village, you bomb them in this village, does that take care of them? No. You need to go to the source. Where are they getting their funding? Where are they able to create and bring in weapons? Where are they able to do all this? Well, it was the oil convoys. That's what Russia hit. They knew right off the bat to shut them down, to stop them. It's not to bomb each village. It's not to liberate each town and city. It's to cut off their oil. Then go ahead and bomb their areas and surround them. The same thing is happening right now. These mouthpieces, yes, they are still there. It's going much, much deeper than that. It's going after the central bank. It's exposing these individuals. It's going after those people who are unelected, the shadowy figures that are really calling the shots. That's where all this is headed. And you need everything in place to go after that. I mean, when Russia was going after the Islamic State, they just didn't automatically fly their planes and hit the oil convoys. They put everything into place. Their ships, their missiles, their planes, their troops. Everything was set up on purpose, and they went after the oil convoys. They went after town after town after that. They surrounded them strategically. The same thing is happening right now. It's all being done strategically. Nothing is by coincidence. Everything is planned. That's why he says trust the plan. The plan, if you want to do it right, is slow, methodical, to make sure you get everyone. And that's where we're headed. And I believe in the next couple of weeks, you're going to hear boom, boom, boom. Listen, everyone, thanks a lot for listening. Be well, be safe, and especially be prepared. Thanks a lot.